The day began like any other, with a rude awakening. The blaring sound of my alarm clock pierced through the silence of my room, jolting me from my dreams. I groggily reached out to silence the noise, my hand fumbling in the dark. Except my alarm decided to sleep in. Somehow, it had betrayed me, and the time displayed was much later than I had planned. Panic started to set in as I realized the implications of this betrayal. When my eyes finally flicked open, it was an hour past my wake-up time. My heart raced as I processed the situation. I had important meetings and deadlines, and now I was running late. No problem, I thought, I can still salvage this. I leapt out of bed with a newfound determination, convinced that I could make up for lost time. I hurriedly threw on the first clothes I could find. Oh, sweet summer child, how wrong I was. My optimism was short-lived as I encountered one obstacle after another. My shirt was wrinkled, my socks mismatched, and my hair a tangled mess. The universe had other plans, and they were hilarious, in a disastrous sort of way. It seemed like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. My room looked like a tornado had swept through it. I jumped out of bed, a tangled mess of sheets and limbs. My feet got caught in the blankets and I nearly face-planted onto the floor. It was a scene straight out of a slapstick comedy. My usual morning routine was out the window. There was no time for a leisurely shower or a proper grooming session. I splashed some water on my face and hoped for the best. Coffee would have to be a to-go situation, and breakfast? A figment of a less chaotic morning. I grabbed a travel mug and poured in some lukewarm coffee, knowing it would have to suffice. This was just the tip of the iceberg. My mind raced with thoughts of how I would explain my tardiness. The stress was palpable, and I could feel the weight of the day pressing down on me. Little did I know, my day was about to become a comedy of errors. As I stepped out the door, I braced myself for whatever else the universe had in store. It was going to be one of those days. Rushing out the door, I fumbled for my keys. They were gone, vanished. My heart sank as I realized the time ticking away. I had an important meeting to get to, and this was not the start I needed. After a frantic search that involved upending furniture, questioning the dog, and even checking the trash can, I found them in the refrigerator. Yes, the refrigerator. How they got there, I have no idea. Maybe I was sleepwalking, or maybe it was just one of those days. Don't ask. I was already running late, and this was just the appetizer to the main course of chaos that awaited. My watch seemed to mock me as the seconds ticked by, each one a reminder of how behind schedule I was. Traffic was a parking lot, moving slower than a snail in molasses. Every car seemed to be in a competition to see who could move the least. Horns blared, tempers flared, and I was stuck in the middle of it all, inching forward at a pace that would make a tortoise proud. Of course, it was at this moment that my phone decided to serenade me with the delightful tune of a dying battery. The low battery notification flashed ominously as if to say, "Good luck surviving without me." No worries, I thought, I'll charge it when I get to work. I tried to stay optimistic, convincing myself that things would get better once I reached the office. After all, how much worse could it get? Again, the universe chuckled and said, "Hold my beer." As if on cue, the traffic came to a complete standstill. I was trapped with no escape in sight. My mind raced with thoughts of missed opportunities and the inevitable lecture from my boss. It was the morning commute from hell, and I was living it. Arriving at work, already frazzled and running on fumes, I could feel the weight of the world on my shoulders. The morning had been a disaster from the moment I woke up. My alarm didn't go off, and I had to rush through my morning routine, skipping breakfast and barely managing to catch the bus. By the time I reached the office, I was already exhausted. I stumbled towards the coffee machine, my last hope for a semblance of normalcy. The thought of that first sip of coffee was the only thing keeping me upright. My savior, my only hope for surviving the day. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee was like a beacon of hope in a sea of chaos. Except when I pressed the button for that life-giving elixir, nothing happened. I pressed it again, harder this time, but still nothing. It was broken, dead, gone to that big coffee pot in the sky. My heart sank as I realized that my one source of comfort had been cruelly snatched away. I think I may have cried a little inside. The day was off to a terrible start, and it seemed like nothing could go right. This wasn't just a bad day. It was a full-blown rebellion by the universe. Every little thing that could go wrong was going wrong, and I felt utterly powerless. And to add insult to injury, I sat down at my desk only to realize I had left my wallet at home. No money for lunch, no ID to get into the building, nothing. Yep, the day just kept on giving. It was as if the universe had decided to test my limits, to see just how much I could take before I broke. But despite everything, I took a deep breath and resolved to push through. After all, when it rains, it pours, but eventually the storm passes. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, a ray of sunshine peeked through the storm clouds. A co-worker, noticing my distress, offered me a spare charger and a cup of their coffee. It was a small act of kindness, but it felt like a life raft in a sea of chaos. Maybe, just maybe, this day wasn't beyond saving. The coffee, though not my usual brew, was surprisingly good. And as I plugged in my phone, I realized something important. Even on the worst of days, there's always something to be grateful for. The rest of the workday was surprisingly pleasant. The shared charger led to a conversation with my co-worker, and I discovered we had a shared love for terrible reality TV and even worse puns. We laughed, we bonded, and for a little while I forgot about the disastrous start to my day. Sometimes the universe throws you a curveball, not to knock you down, but to push you in a different direction. A direction that leads to unexpected connections and shared laughter. It's a good reminder that even amidst the chaos, there's always beauty to be found. As I walked home that evening, phone charged and heart a little lighter, I realized that the day wasn't a complete write-off. Sure, it was a comedy of errors, a symphony of mishaps, but it also held unexpected moments of grace and connection. Life is funny like that. It throws you curveballs, tests your patience, and makes you question your sanity. But it also surprises you with kindness, laughter, and the realization that even on the most chaotic of days, there's always a silver lining to be found. You just have to be open to seeing it.